So it looks like Tunecore decided to go public. What does that mean for artists? What does that mean for the future of the music industry?
Yeah. So Tunecore. All right. So Tunecore itself is owned by another company called Believe, and you guys can look up Believe Distribution. I believe they're trying to go public on the Euronext Paris Stock Exchange. So it's not. I don't think it's going to be on the New York Stock Exchange just yet, but what that means. All right. So when a company goes public, first, just in case, I want us all to be on the same page here. Going public doesn't mean that they're selling all their shares. It just means they're selling usually a percentage of them. It's usually around like 20% of the company that they're giving out. And based on how many people say, I want some of those shares, that can determine the valuation of the company and the price of the stock and all that other stuff. So that would explain maybe why Tesla, for example, has a really high price per share, and it fluctuates a lot. But that would be why Tesla, for example, has a really high price per share. Right. You can structure how many shares you're giving away, the percentage, like all that stuff. But so for Believe, they own Tunecore. Okay. So I don't know how many other subsidiaries they have, but they might have a few. So they're taking that whole company, from my understanding, and taking that public. So what this means is that other big conglomerates or bigger music companies are going to also start to go public. As we were talking about with NFTs before, they can still go public with stock. Yes. So the Universal Music Group, they're trying to go public later this year. I think they did go public, but it wasn't a public offering. Yeah, so it's they're in the process of going public. Let's put it that way. Universal Music Group is. Now, for the idea we were talking about like a month ago, like if you guys haven't seen or listened to the NFT episode, go listen to that. But in that, I was talking about how if somebody wanted to invest only in like the genre of hip hop, NFTs would make it more efficient to do that. They could still try to come up with a system like that today. It would just be like a bigger headache. But what this means for like Universal going public and Tunecore being a part of Believe, which is going public, means that there's real potential for investments and better technology in the music space. So we don't know what Tunecore is trying to build behind the scenes, or Believe's trying to build behind the scenes. They could be trying to come up with a NFT platform or something like that to make it better for artists. Yes. Like make this system better for artists. So Tunecore gets paid by making it easier for artists, better systems for artists, trying to get artists into music publishing, trying to come up with new technologies for artists. Like that's how they get paid. So the easier they can make that and the better services they can make for artists, like that's their whole model. You're only in business to solve customers' problems, right? Yeah. So that's the direction it's heading in. People, with the advent of streaming, it's started to make it easier for people to get those payments. And like we were saying on previous episodes too, they have songwriting funds now to where these are private investments where you have to be like an accredited investor. And that just means that either you make around like $250,000 a year, or you have a net worth of $1 million or over. That's called an accredited investor. And those people are deemed by the government, at least in the U.S., that you might be a bit more knowledgeable about investing, so therefore you don't need as many protections from the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, to where you can only invest in public investment funds. So there are private like songwriting funds. So let's say somebody wants to buy a Justin Bieber catalog or Michael Jackson catalog, whatever. They can buy those and then bring them into their own investment portfolio, and then the accredited investors can go and say, I'll take some of this fund, and they're usually trying to get them a percentage back. So that's what any public company is trying to do. They're trying to get funding from the public so they don't have to keep going to private accredited investors, or like a hedge fund or something like that. And they're trying to make it available to the public so that they can get the money and build better technology for the artists.
Okay.
All right. So that's what that means for the music business. It's going towards that direction we were talking about earlier, to where they're trying to say, hey, this is a viable business, guys. Now, like, we're not the joke of all the sectors anymore. We're not, they would say, they still do. Some people say, like, the music business is the worst business out there, and all that other stuff. But now, people like Believe and Universal, they're saying, like, yo, we're not a joke anymore. Yeah. Like, we can take these public dollars and we can come up with stuff that's going to be valuable enough for these investors that this is going to make sense. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the direction I believe it's heading in. Yeah. And obviously that's the direction it's heading in. We don't know what Tunecore has behind, like, what they're developing. Yeah. But we shall see.
Okay. That sounds good.